Well, let me ask, was it different in the earlier years, or, I mean, because you worked with some big people, didn't you, like Madonna, Michael Jackson? Like, was it
Hmm.
different then in comparison, like when you were dancing with those people, or did you have a different?
Yeah, it was. Okay, the times were different then. The quality of dancing was better, and not that the talent still doesn't exist today, but what's happening today is that the climate today and the way things are with social networks and the YouTubes and the MySpaces or whatever, you have this almost, just regurgitation of art. They're not really creating art; they're duplicating art. You have a lot of people just biting and identity thieving. Just if they see somebody who does something, I have so many people running around right now trying to be Shabba Doo. It's like, will the real Shabba Doo stand up? Wearing my clothes, act like me, dress like me. I mean, it's like these impersonators, but that's fine, and that would be fine if they were to say that. But they actually try to pass themselves off as being original, and there's the problem.
Yeah.
I guess you're gonna always have that. You have the Michael Jackson impersonators, but the difference between working with Michael and let's say like Madonna and these people, they always wanted the real thing. They always wanted the first of its kind. Now they just copy what the other ones are doing.
So in a way, you were kind of like the Fred Astaire or the James Brown for Michael Jackson or some of these other people that came up.
Yeah. When you think about it, and I think about it rather. I realize how fortunate I am, and that I've been put in this position for some reason, and here I am, and now I look at my career and what I've done and where I'm going, and I've turned out to be just that. I mean, there's a couple of things that have happened in recent times that it gives me an indication of where I'm at. When I was a kid growing up, if somebody were to do something, if a dancer was a dancer at a party and he thought he was really good at or something, we would say stuff like, "Hey man, what do you think you are, Fred Astaire?" Right? So we said that because Fred Astaire was the gold standard for dancing, and we knew that when you became Fred Astaire, that you had your stuff together. Well, recently, the Family Guy. There's an episode of Family Guy where he talks about. Well, there's an episode I think it's called The Running Mates, and you have the husband and wife there vying for a position on the school board, and the husband, in this sort of like debate in this school auditorium, he tells the people, well, the reason you should, vote for me is because I save young people. I once put together a recreation center and raised a lot of money, dancing and doing all that. And the wife said, no, you didn't do that. You got that from Adolfo Shabba Doo from Electric Boogaloo too. You saw it last night on TV, right? He was like, and he gives like this deadpan look like he got busted, right? Okay, that's one move. Another one was, it happened even before that, when they had In Living Color. I think Damon Wayans played a character called the Head Detective. And he's in a nightclub one day. The head detective was just like this head with these feet, and he'd be everywhere, right? So this one episode or skit, they took off the, I don't know what that's called, that food, when they serve food, they have that sterling silver dome that I don't know what that's called, but anyway, that's covering the food. And when they removed it, it revealed the head detective under there. The one guy takes the plate and he spins it around, and there goes Damon Wayans, the head detective, spinning. And when he came to a stop, he looks at the guy and goes, "Woo! I felt like Shabba Doo." So now here's the last one. This is of recent time. There's a film out now called The Grown Ups with Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, and some other comedians. I don't know all their names, but in any case, they've all come together because of this funeral and this basketball coach and whatever. But there's a scene where they're all sitting around, they're kind of reminiscing, and they're drinking, and they're there with their wives and so forth. And so they start putting on oldies kind of music, maybe 80s, I think it was 80s style music. And the different wives started, grabbing the husband's hand, leading them to the floor and dancing with them. So Chris Rock's wife said to him, "Come on, baby, you like to dance." And he was like, Oh, yeah, he stands up and says, yeah, I'm just a regular old Shabba Doo.
There you go.
You see? So that tells you right there that I've become sort of this, I've been woven into this American pop culture, and I will forever be that now. So identified with, and I don't think it's typecasting either. It's just that they recognize me as a symbol within this culture, within a particular segment of the culture, specifically dancing, right? So when they think about hip-hop dancing, they think about street dancing, they think about Shabba Doo. It was sort of when I was sitting in the film and in the movie audience, and Chris Rock said that, it was like an eerie sort of out-of-body moment for me, because I knew in the movie that Chris Rock was talking about me, and there I was sitting there looking at him going. Now, when they make a decision to make jokes or they write something in the script, is because they believe that there's a broad audience out there. When they say that, they're going to understand what he meant. They don't make obscure jokes that only a few people get. So that was quite a compliment.
Definitely. So, are there any dancers that came after you, or dancers now that you think are really fantastic, or are doing anything similar to what was going on back then at all?
Sadly enough, I would say no. There are dancers who go on tour. Again, they're pack mules. They go on tour. They could dance with their Britney Spears or whatever. But I'm unique. When I go on like a tour, when I went on tour with Madonna, I had billing. You ever heard of such a thing?
No.
Can you imagine? Madonna has many dancers on her show now, right? Do you know any of those dancers in their show that has billing? Do you know any dancers on those shows that can go on let's say a Kimmel level show or the Tonight Show or those types of shows as themselves without a record deal, without no movie, just because they're who they are?
Definitely
Only
not.
I did that. You know that I'm the only dancer in history that was invited back on Soul Train as a guest star, as a soloist. I was the only one ever to do that. And I'm doing this without a record deal.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't even have a movie. It was just as Shabba Doo, just on my dancing ability alone. When I did appearances on the Arsenio Hall show and all those types of shows, as Shabba Doo, I got billing. I was the actual guest star. It wasn't like now dancers today could say, well, I did the Jimmy Kimmel show, but they're part of someone else's show. Or they say, oh, yeah, I'm that guy dancing behind Usher there. See, I'm that guy with the hat on back there. That's where they're at. Or they get some sort of fame because they win a dance contest. I was season 1 winner on that dance show. But then once season 3 goes around, you don't remember who they are. Like if I ask you right now who's the winner of any of those dance shows, you'd be hard-pressed to give me a name, wouldn't you?
Yeah, we have no idea. But that's why we called you.
All the time. I say, who's the winner of season 1 of America's Best Dance Crew or something like that? They don't know. They don't know who those people are. And then they say people like the Jabberwockies, but they don't know their faces. They're just people with masks on and things. They're gimmick. There's a big difference. And if you look at my history and the way it came out with the Lockers were also headliners. We were headliners. We went on the show as the Lockers, as our own act. No record deal, not dancing behind anyone. We were the act. Well, dancers today, for whatever reasons, they're not doing that any longer. They're always part of someone else's show. People are getting fame based on who they know, not because of who they are. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
More than subtle, too.
Well, nowadays, are you still keeping in contact with the Boogaloo Shrimp or any of the cast from Breakin? Or?
No, I do not. I think I believe the people enter people's lives. We all enter each other's lives for different reasons, and we were meant to come together at that point. And after that point, we had served its purpose, and we went in our separate ways. I have other things I'm doing. I went back to school, for one thing. The 90s for me was a growth period for me. I didn't get knocked out of this industry. It wasn't like, oh, let's not hire Shabba Doo anymore. He's no good or whatever. I walked away from it. I did everything. I owned the 80s. I owned it. And so by the time the 90s rolled around, I was bored with it. I had done everything I wanted to do. I toured. I did my thing, So So I was like, okay, I'm going to raise my kid. I had a daughter at the time. I have a son too, but I said I'm going to focus on my daughter. And I'm going to go back to school. I went to American Film Institute, and I graduated from their master's program as a directing fellow. So I got my chops together as a filmmaker. Started writing my own screenplays. Started writing television properties and things like that. So the 90s was very important for me. And then when it got time for me to put my hat back into the arena, which was sometimes around the early 2000s, then I realized what had happened to the landscape of hip-hop from a dance perspective. It was like all the people that were real heroes and real soldiers were basically rounded up and turned into slaves. And it was a sad day for me. But now, I think I don't want to darken anyone's future, but I think that there's a bright day coming. I think that the world is starting to understand how important we really are, and we're not an incidental element to this culture. We're important, and that's happening again. And I'm glad for some successes, and again, when I talk about fame and recognition, that I'm not talking about talent. Do I think there's talent out there? Oh, absolutely. I see it all the time. There's great talent out there, but they don't know how to market themselves. And there's other perpetrators out there who are better at marketing themselves and getting a lot of recognition that they shouldn't be getting, and saying things that they shouldn't be saying, and making claims about their history that was just not there. It's not supported by anything, by any real facts. So there you have a bunch of problems existing even within that culture, a lot of infighting and things. I'm not really involved in it, but I do recognize it. And when I see it and it gets sloppy, I call them on it. But aside from that, no. So, but I hope to see some of the people from Breakin. I do talk to Jaime Rogers, who choreographed Breakin. I just talked to the director, Joel Silberg. We're pretty much in touch with each other. He directed Breakin 1. I'm making plans now to do a Breakin 3.
Well.
Or a new Breakin film. So I've written a screenplay for that.
Awesome.
That's in the works right now.
Great.
Well, yeah, I think that about does it on our end. Do you have any parting words for us at all, or?
Well, continue to do what you love to do. Read the label. If you want to learn how to dance, as most dancers out there, contact me. They want to learn original styles of this and that. Really try to learn from the people or the actual people that started the movement, if you can. And if you can't, then try to get those dancers that are closely resembles, as much as possible, the actual style of the dance, opposed to someone just making up stuff that's not true. And I wish them luck, and I will always be in your corner.
Excellent.
If you like, join me on Facebook. I'm at Facebook. That's facebook.com/Shabba Doo.
Okay.
Shabba space Doo. So I'll see you on Facebook, or join me on Twitter at same name, Shabba_Doo on Twitter.
Sounds great, man.
Okay.
Well, thanks a lot for your time.
Well, thank you very much. And again, I appreciate it. And I will talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks a lot, man.
Okay. Take care, guys.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Goodbye.